now she's been being more consistent. So now he's being more consistent with her. And he started to really be, in a way, more vulnerable than he has ever been with her. Hey guys, welcome back to another video. In case you're new here, my name is Kim. This is Core Union. I want to talk about some progress that my client is having with her true love, her specific person. It is a deep soul connection. She had manifested him into her life, however long ago when we first started working together. The relationship developed, they got deeper and closer. There was some hot and cold wavering on and off, and they were getting closer and closer, talking about building a life together, talking about supporting each other's career, talking about having children. And last year, they ended up breaking up, and they've been now broken up for, they were broken up for a year. I talked about recently how she did manifest spending Christmas and then New Year's Eve with him. Now, this is the follow-up to that because before the holidays, before Christmas and New Year's Eve, that session that I had with her, the main topic was to get back in alignment, to choose in consciousness, to remember who you are, and to only keep your awareness, in other words, your power, on what it is that you do want consistently throughout the day. Wake up in the morning, doesn't have to be more than 10, 15, 20 minutes. Stay in alignment with that all throughout the day, through wavering, through triggering. You can tap back in the afternoon, and then before you go to sleep, fall asleep in the wish fulfilled, fall asleep being grateful. Side note, another client that I'll be creating a video on at some point next week, she is now with her mirror soul, and they actually do the inner work together. I've talked about her as well. But one of the things, the key points that I wanted to bring up on this in this moment right now is that at first she wasn't sure, like, how do I continue doing my inner work now that we are actually together? We're physically together. We're falling asleep together. We're in the same bed. And this, like, in other words, this is where I used to do my evening routine and fall asleep. So now she's falling asleep physically next to him. And so now she's just falling asleep with in gratitude. Okay. And as things come up in the 3D, she's handling it. And I might even mention a powerful way that I suggested that she does a little revision with that particular client. I think I may have suggested it with the client that I'm going to continue the story on now. Okay. So she started, my client now that today's video is about, she started being more consistent. And then with Christmas, they did end up spending it together. And then New Year's Eve, they hadn't made plans. She was just enjoying herself. She was truly just enjoying her time. She was, I think she took a nice long hot bath from what I remember, drank a little red wine, was just doing things to enjoy herself. And she went to sleep. And then her mirror soul, her specific person, reached out to he wanted to be with her. He wanted to spend time with her. So now, yesterday's session, first I'll start with some of the progress with her career because she's actually manifesting her own wellness, basically a wellness center, which is incredible and amazing. And now she has already now had 2 sessions with her first client. And we talked about manifesting more and more clients so she can then quit working altogether for anyone else and just do her own thing. She also just manifested a situation because she's manifesting a new place to live. Something happened with the new apartment. So we talked about that too. So I'm going to talk about, career, her new home, and a little situation with money, and what just happened with her true love. This won't be too long. Before I do get further into this, if you do love my content, please do like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel. It helps me grow, and I really do appreciate you for that. If you want me to be your coach to help you manifest anything related to your specific person or anything else, email a short description to me at kim@coreunion.com. Go to my website, coreunion.com, and book whatever you want to book, either a single session or a package. And Olga, my scheduling assistant, will get back to you with my next available session. Okay, so just like with if you were like kind of a photographer. If if somebody is taking photographs and it's kind of old school, and the film, they're in the dark room and they're doing all of the steps and they're doing everything right. And I don't know what they are, so I can't even, but they're doing everything that they need to do in the dark room. They followed precisely what they need to do. And now they hang up all the photographs on the line for it to dry, but they have to leave the photographs in the dark for them to develop. And if they continue to open the door and expose light, then the photographs won't completely develop. If they open the door when it's halfway through, they're gonna get kind of mixed results, right? It's not gonna ever fully develop. And it's kind of the same thing when you continue to open the door, open the door and check, just like when you're baking a cake. I've talked about this on videos in the past too. If you've put all the ingredients in of this delicious cake and you put it in the oven, you know that it's baking. If you keep opening the door, it's never going to finish baking. So essentially, if you're not first from the highest operating level, realizing that you're, it's really simple. It's not a matter of, because sometimes people will say, well, this or something better, or I don't know if this is really meant to be. This wouldn't be that hard if it was really meant to be. If you have a desire for something, it already exists because all of creation is already existing. It was always existing even before you became aware of it, even before you were born. Okay? Even before you came into this human experience, all of creation is and always will be done. So it's all existing. And whatever you are consistently in consciousness aware of is who you are being. And then that portion of reality that is all already existing will then be revealed to you. But again, like with the analogy that I just brought up, if you keep opening the door, if you keep opening the door for the photographs or opening the oven door for the cake, it will never get a chance to fully finish. So you will keep experiencing not having whatever it is that you want. All right. Okay. So with my client, when we first met, she was needing to actually work two jobs. She was thinking of wanting to make, I believe, $10,000 a month. One of the jobs that she was doing, she hated, and she was having to work overnight. So, we worked through that, and eventually she got to the point where she had enough trust in herself to quit that job altogether. And then with the other job that she had, she just wasn't happy with it. So she then stepped into her power again and she ended up manifesting a better job. But all of this, she knew that her actual end, that what she wants to do was have this, basically what she's now stepping into and experiencing now, her own practice, to be a therapist of sorts and to also have eventually other people working for her. So we talked a little bit more about getting very specific, the same way you get really clear of the values and the qualities of the relationship that you want to have, of the lifestyle that you want to have, of your health, of your home, of your success, of whatever it is that you want to do. Get clear on all levels. So we got clear again on all levels of her perfect client. And so I gave her some inner work around that and the money that she wants to make. There was a little bit of a hiccup with her move in date. Her new place that she manifested, which is beautiful and it has this incredible view. The move-in date was originally scheduled for the 21st, and they reached out to her and they apologized, but they said that the current tenant was refusing to leave and her move-in date had to get pushed to the 29th. She was very angry and upset with this. Now, this is really important because the story that immediately happened within her was that, you know, they're thoughtless, they're inconsiderate, that they're disrespecting her, that they don't care about, what could happen to her in her life. And so she immediately got stepped into ego, which is normal and natural. It happens. And she said, I want some money back. And they said, well, I'm sorry, but we're not going to be able to give you the money back. And she said they were being very nonchalant about it. Like it's so we talked about that for a minute because this is a perfect example. And it's the same with your specific person. Just like with an ex, if you had a really bad experience with an ex who was an alcoholic or who was disrespectful or they were a narcissist or they betrayed you and they cheated on you. So then you take all of that story and you have projected it out on your true love. And your true love really loves you, but you're seeing them from the lens of your ex. Yeah. So you're not truly choosing love, you're choosing fear. This is really stepping back and observing what got brought up for you and realizing that that's not necessarily the case. And then make a new decision and a new choice in consciousness. Now, with my client, so I reminded her this thing that's coming up for you right now, you're taking the story of the present building that she's in. She had a lot of problems with management. I'm going to get to the specific person part of the story too, but this is really important for you guys to understand. So please pay attention to this because it's the same with anything else in your life, including your specific person. The building that she was currently in, moving out of, there were a lot of problems that she experienced with management being, careless, being inconsiderate, being rude, being a corporation that could care less about their tenants. So now she has this experience with this new place and she's automatically projecting that story onto them. So basically, I said, what's coming up here of feeling disrespected has nothing to do with these people. And you want to see that these people are the awesome management, wonderful staff. Really, it feels so good to come home. All of your neighbors, all of the tenants are all also good people. And everybody that you have to deal with in terms of the building are wonderful, supportive, awesome people. They're easy to work with, they're helpful. She was saying in terms of finances, she said, that she felt very tight and she was very nervous that she wasn't going to have enough money for the movers and the money that she needed to move in. The mover was $500. So now remember, she's going back and she's in anger. She's demanding some sort of a discount or concession. And they're saying, no, they're sorry, but they're not able to do that. So she had demanded, this was before our call, to speak to management. So now we're on the call. And first, we're deciding that they're wonderful people. She was going to have that call with management that same afternoon after our session. Go to the end that the call was wonderful. You had a wonderful call. The person was very easy. They were very easy to work with, and everything worked out in your favor. Then we talked about the stuff with her specific person, which I will get into. But then towards the end of the session, she said, okay, so now what do I do now if when these people call me, if they refuse to give me the money? I said, no, you can't be in consciousness in two states at the same time. You have to choose. Either they're wonderful people and everything worked out in your favor, or the call didn't work out. It's one or the other. So you have to make a decision and choose it in consciousness and being aware that this is your experience. And there is no other, there is no other option. After our call, and then I will tell you about the specific person unfolding, she emailed me, she sent me a screenshot of basically what the management told her, and they are giving her back a little bit over $1,200. Now, I know that you guys have been waiting for this with her specific person. He reached out to her. She was out with one of her friends. She was having fun. He texted her and he said, hey, I wanted you to come over so I could give you your Christmas gift. She wasn't playing games, and this is a key. She was truly, authentically not available because she was spending time with her friend. So she basically just said, I'm not available right now. I'm out with so and so. So that was fine. The next day, she reached out to him and she said, hey, if you want, like I don't know the exact words, but if you want to spend time today, we can spend time. And he responded, hey, babe, I'm actually watching the game. And she immediately got triggered. There was a little part of her that felt that feeling of her not being a priority and that he's choosing to watch the game over her. But we stepped back from that and I said, okay, this ended up being okay, by the way. And I'll go on with this, but I did want to mention that there's nothing wrong. The same way you were out with your friend and you didn't just drop it to go with him. There's nothing wrong with him watching the football game and replying and saying, I can't right now. I'm watching the game. In fact, the fact that he actually replied, "Hey babe, like I'm just busy right now watching the game." That in itself is actually very thoughtful and loving. Yeah. So so she did react to this and she reacted in a way that later on she felt really bad because she got a little bit mean basically and she made a demand on him and she said something that really she wasn't in her power leading with love. And so she felt really bad about it. So then the next day, she reached out to him and she said, if you want, I can I can come over today if you want. I'm really sorry that I reacted the way I did. I shouldn't have said what I did. Like, in other words, she realized there was nothing wrong with him watching the game, but that she reacted. And then they were spending time together because she's been being so consistent and truly loving herself and staying in her power, meaning just being balanced and doing the things that she loves to do. Yes, doing the inner work consistently, of living from the end of being together and married with him, but also focusing on her career, taking care of her body, pouring love into herself and seeing all the unfolding with him. Now she's been being more consistent. So now he's being more consistent with her. And he started to really be, in a way, more vulnerable than he has ever been with her. She said that he was starting to share when he first, you know, came here to this country, the experiences that he had and his insecurities. So he went on and on with some of his own personal things that I'm obviously not going to share on the video, but she basically was seeing a transformation in him because she was truly transforming within herself. She's starting to learn how to let her barriers down. She's starting to learn how to trust in love, trust in men being reliable and consistent with her, letting go of the story of, the old identity that was like with her father growing up, that the story, the whole rejection and abandonment story, and whatever else, maybe through society and culture that, was programmed into her about men and relationships. So she's letting go of all that stuff consistently and seeing the highest and best in her. And so now she's conforming, she's transforming, he's now conforming and transforming. And they're getting closer and closer. And he's being very secure. He starts talking about raising children together and then she asked him, "So do you love me?" And he said, "Yes, I love you." And she said, "And are you in love with me?" And he said, "Yeah, I'm in love with you." She said, "But I remember, like, however, with a year and a half or 2 years ago, whenever it was, when she asked him that, he said, I do love you, but I'm not in love with you yet." And so now, though, we know that he actually was. It's just that at that time back then, she still had the story that maybe it wasn't safe to love and to be loved, not because of him. It was a story she projected onto him, but it had nothing to do with him. It was from when she was growing up. They're physically together now. It has been confirmed that he does love her and he is in love with her, that he does want to have children with her. And so she sees that when she really got consistent, so this was 3 sessions ago, after the breakup for a year, and for several months through that, she was not being consistent. I'm telling you, consistency of knowing who you are, and learning how to develop that trust in oneness, in consciousness, and knowing that you simply wouldn't be able to have the desire unless that existed. This is what you really want to focus on a lot. And from there, from in that power and in that energy, then go into like pouring some love into yourself, gratitude, other areas of your life, money, health, because you can have it all. If you have the desire for it, then it already exists. And then you choose that and you make the decision and you embody that throughout the day. You see yourself, you see life from the ears and eyes of the one who already has it. Okay. Affirm down below. I trust everything what's in my heart and soul, and I know that it already exists. It's already done. And whatever else you want to add, I love you so much. Have an amazing day. I hope this helped. Bye.